Welcome back to our channel. 1 cent today, a piece of history tomorrow. Don't miss out on this rare penny. In 1995, the United States Mint produced an ordinary coin, the humble 1 cent penny, which didn't seem any different from the millions of pennies created every year. Yet, this particular penny would go on to make history and become an unexpected treasure in the world of numismatics, a coin collector's dream, and a symbol of how something so small and seemingly insignificant could hold monumental value. Let's take a step back in time, all the way to the early 20th century, to truly understand the significance of this seemingly ordinary coin. The penny, made of copper, had long been a part of American currency. In 1909, the U.S. Mint introduced the iconic Lincoln cent, featuring the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. It was a historic moment in American coinage, as it marked the first time a real person's image would appear on a regularly circulating coin. Lincoln, a symbol of unity and perseverance, was chosen to be immortalized on the cent, honoring his role in preserving the nation during the Civil War. This coin, with Lincoln's somber expression and the familiar wheat design on the reverse, became the iconic design until 1959, when the U.S. Mint switched the reverse to a depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, another significant image in American history. The coin remained relatively unchanged in design, save for minor modifications, until the year 1982, when a shift in materials was made to accommodate rising copper prices. Instead of a pure copper penny, the U.S. Mint began producing a copper-plated zinc coin, a change that would have long-lasting effects on the penny's manufacturing and its eventual place in numismatic history. Fast forward to 1995. The U.S. Mint had been using the copper-plated zinc composition for more than a decade. Yet, despite the modern materials, there was one important thing that made 1995 special. A few pennies from this year were accidentally struck with a rare, unique error that would change their destiny forever. The coins produced in this year were expected to have a standard zinc core and copper plating. However, during the minting process, a few coins were mistakenly struck with a double die error. What does that mean? Well, a double die error occurs when a coin's die, the engraved stamp that strikes the image onto the coin, misaligns during the minting process, resulting in a doubled image. This is a rare and highly sought-after error, and when it happens on such a small coin, the results are nothing short of remarkable. The result of this misalignment was a penny with the image of Abraham Lincoln appearing doubled, most notably seen on the letters of Liberty and the date, 1995. The error wasn't immediately recognized by the mint, and most of these pennies were distributed into circulation, just like any other penny. At first glance, they appeared to be standard pennies, but to the discerning eye of a coin collector, something was amiss. These were not ordinary pennies, they were rare, they were special, and they were worth more than their face value. The discovery of this error sent waves through the numismatic world. Coin collectors who were diligent enough to spot the double die error began scooping up these pennies, and as the rarity of the coin became known, the value started to climb. It wasn't long before these coins began fetching significant sums at auctions, and many collectors began searching through their pockets, purses, and change jars, hoping to find one of these hidden treasures. But what makes a coin like this so valuable? There are a few key factors that come into play when determining a coin's worth. First, rarity. The 1995 double die penny is extremely rare. Only a handful of these coins were produced with the error. This rarity, combined with the fascination surrounding coin errors, drove the demand up dramatically. Second, condition is crucial. Coins in mint condition, especially those with errors, are the most sought after by collectors. And third, the historical significance plays a role. The Lincoln penny is one of the most recognized coins in American history, and the 1995 double die error adds a layer of intrigue and uniqueness that makes this coin stand out among the millions of pennies minted over the years. As time went on, these pennies were being sold for hundreds of dollars, then thousands. With the rare and unique nature of the error, collectors began to seek them out more vigorously. The excitement surrounding the discovery of these pennies reached a fever pitch, and as more and more people learned about the error, the market for them began to grow. The penny, which had once been a symbol of insignificance in the world of coinage, now stood as an example of how a small mistake could turn something commonplace into a highly prized item. But what makes the 1995 double die penny truly fascinating is that, despite its low initial value, the coin continued to rise in value, outpacing even the wildest predictions. The demand for the coin skyrocketed, and the value of individual coins reached staggering amounts. As these pennies made their way through the hands of collectors, dealers, and enthusiasts, they became highly coveted treasures, often selling for tens of thousands of dollars. Now, if you're thinking that this coin is just another error coin that's selling for a few bucks more than usual, think again. The true value of this coin was only revealed over time, and in recent years, the 1995 double-die penny has reached a level of value that would have been unimaginable to most people at the time of its release. One of these pennies, in pristine condition, fetched an astounding $128,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, valued at just 1 cent when it was originally minted, was sold for $128,000. This is the kind of story that coin collectors dream about, finding a rare, valuable treasure in their pocket change, an item that turns out to be worth far more than anyone could have expected. The 1995 double-die penny is a testament to the unpredictable nature of coin collecting and the fascinating world of numismatics. So, what can we learn from this story? It's a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected treasures can be found in the most unlikely places. A simple penny, a coin most people overlook on a daily basis, can be worth a fortune if it has the right rarity, condition, and historical significance. The 1995 double-die penny is a perfect example of how small details, rare errors, and a little bit of luck can lead to something extraordinary. If you've ever wondered whether your pocket change could be hiding a small fortune, now you know. It's always worth checking. You just might be holding a piece of history in your hands, just like that 1995 double-die penny that changed the lives of coin collectors and left a lasting impact on the world of numismatics. So, the next time you find a penny lying on the ground, don't just walk by. Take a closer look. You never know when you might find the next hidden gem worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars. In 2001, a coin was minted in the United States that seemed, at first glance, to be just another typical penny, a coin that most of us pass by without a second thought. At that time, the U.S. Mint was in full swing, creating billions of pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters to keep up with the nation's demand for cash. Yet, among those millions of pennies, one particular 2001 penny would go on to stand out in the world of numismatics. It would become a treasure for collectors, a coin with a unique story to tell and, perhaps most remarkably, one that would be worth far more than its simple 1-cent face value. But before we dive into the intriguing story of this rare penny, let's take a step back in time and look at the history of the U.S. 1-cent coin. The penny has long been a fixture of American currency. First introduced in 1793, the penny has seen countless designs, material changes, and technological advancements. For most of its history, the penny has featured the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait first appeared on the coin in 1909, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. For much of the 20th century, the penny remained relatively unchanged. The obverse continued to feature Lincoln's image, while the reverse depicted a wheat design until 1959. That year, the design was altered to show the Lincoln Memorial, a fitting tribute to the man who led the nation through its darkest period. This design remained in place for over 4 decades, with only slight modifications made to the coin's composition over time. By 1982, the U.S. Mint made a significant change to the penny's composition, switching from a primarily copper penny to a copper-plated zinc penny due to the rising cost of copper. This change marked the beginning of a new era for the penny, one where the coin's value would not only be determined by its rarity or historical significance but also by the changes in material and minting processes. Now, fast forward to 2001. By this time, the penny had seen many years of steady production. However, that year would prove to be an important one for collectors, and not just because of the ordinary pennies in circulation. The U.S. Mint produced several varieties of pennies in 2001, including both standard and proof coins, with a few unusual ones being released as part of the annual coinage sets. But it wasn't the standard pennies that would capture the attention of collectors. It was a rare error coin that would become one of the most coveted of all 2001 pennies. This error, known as the 2001 White AM penny, was a result of a misalignment in the die used to strike the reverse side of the coin. The reverse of the penny, which typically features the inscription E pluribus unum and a pair of wheat stalks, would normally have the letters AM in America spaced close together. But in this rare error, the A and the M in America were spaced unusually far apart, creating a distinct white AM on the reverse of the coin. the wide AM error is subtle but noticeable to anyone with a trained eye. While most pennies produced in 2001 and other years feature a close AM, the wide AM was a result of a mistake during the minting process, causing the spacing to be wider than intended. This kind of error, while rare, happens from time to time during the minting process. However, it is incredibly uncommon for such errors to become so prominent on a coin that it generates major attention from collectors and experts alike. At first, the wide AM penny was a mystery. Most people didn't notice it in circulation, and only a handful of collectors were aware of its existence. But over time, word began to spread in the numismatic community that this particular coin was something special. In fact, the 2001 wide AM penny became one of the most sought-after error coins among serious collectors. As soon as these coins started to surface in the market, they quickly captured the attention of experts and enthusiasts who realized that they were dealing with something rare and valuable. So, why did this error coin, out of all the hundreds of millions of pennies minted in 2001, become such a hot commodity in the world of coin collecting? The answer lies in several factors. First, error coins, especially those involving minting mistakes that are not immediately noticeable, are highly prized by collectors. The rarity of these errors, combined with the intrigue they generate, makes them especially valuable. Collectors want to get their hands on coins that are different, that stand out from the rest, and the 2001 wide AM penny was the perfect example of a coin that met that demand. Second, the historical significance of the penny itself cannot be overstated. The Lincoln cent has long been a symbol of American history and culture. It's a coin that represents the very fabric of the nation, and anything that deviates from its traditional design becomes a valuable piece of that history. So, when the 2001 wide AM penny appeared, it wasn't just a rare minting error, it was a piece of history, a coin that would forever hold a unique place in the hearts of collectors. As time passed, the 2001 wide AM penny became more and more desirable. Prices for these error coins began to rise, and more collectors sought them out. The excitement surrounding the discovery of these coins led to increased demand, and soon they were being traded in the secondary market for prices far beyond their original face value. But what exactly makes this penny worth so much more than a typical 2001 penny? The answer lies in its rarity. While millions of pennies were produced in 2001, only a very small number of wide AM error coins were struck. It's estimated that fewer than 1,000 of these coins exist, making them incredibly rare. Add to that the fact that error coins like this one are prized by collectors for their uniqueness, and it's easy to see why the 2001 wide AM penny has such a high value. Of course, the condition of the coin also plays a major role in its value. Coins that are in mint condition, with sharp details and little to no wear, are far more valuable than those that are heavily worn or damaged. The best examples of the 2001 wide AM penny, those in near-perfect condition, can fetch impressive sums. And now, for the big reveal. As of recent sales, the 2001 wide AM penny has sold for remarkable amounts, with some of the highest-graded specimens reaching an astounding value. One of these rare pennies, in exceptional condition, was sold for $120,000. Yes, a single penny, once worth just 1 cent, now commands a price of $120,000, an unbelievable sum for a coin that most people would have never thought twice about if they saw it in their pocket change. This is the kind of story that reminds us of the power of rarity, history, and the unexpected in the world of coin collecting. The 2001 wide AM penny is a testament to how a small mistake in the minting process can lead to something truly remarkable, something worth far more than its original face value. It shows that, in the world of numismatics, value is not always determined by size, weight, or composition, but by the rarity of the coin and the story behind it. So, if you happen to come across a 2001 penny, take a closer look. It might just be the wide AM penny you've been searching for. After all, you never know when the next hidden treasure could be right in front of you. In 2006, the US Mint created what seemed to be just another routine coin, the 1-cent penny. Every year, billions of pennies are minted, and this small copper-plated coin is often overlooked, either discarded or left to gather dust in jars or wallets across the country. But as you'll soon discover, the 2006 penny holds a fascinating story. What seems like a simple, everyday object would soon capture the attention of collectors, become a piece of history, and ultimately reveal its surprising value. To understand why the 2006 penny is so special, we need to take a step back in time. The penny, in its modern form, is deeply embedded in American culture. First introduced in 1793, the penny has undergone numerous changes in design and composition, yet it has always remained a steadfast symbol of everyday American life. For over a century, the penny was mostly unchanged, with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln gracing the obverse of the coin starting in 1909, making it one of the most recognizable coins in the world. For much of the 20th century, the reverse of the penny featured the iconic wheat stalks, which were first introduced in 1909 as well. This design remained in place until 1959 when the U.S. Mint made a change, replacing the wheat stalks with the Lincoln Memorial, which itself became a beloved symbol of American unity and strength. This design continued until 2009 when the U.S. Mint decided to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Lincoln's birth by issuing a new set of designs for the reverse of the penny. But before we get to the redesigns, let's talk about what makes the 2006 penny stand out. Unlike earlier years, the 2006 penny was minted during a time when the U.S. Mint was grappling with rising production costs for copper, the main metal used in the penny's composition. In 1982, the penny's composition was changed from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc mixture to help curb the rising costs. This was the first of many alterations in the penny's composition over the years, and it became one of the key factors in shaping the penny's future. The design of the 2006 penny, however, wasn't so much about the materials used as it was about the larger context of American history. The coin was still primarily composed of copper-plated zinc, and it still featured Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front. But in terms of design, it was part of a larger shift happening at the Mint. You see, 2006 marked the beginning of the new series of pennies that would eventually lead to the 2009 designs honoring Lincoln's legacy. In 2006, the U.S. Mint didn't alter the design dramatically, as it had done in 2009. But there was something quite extraordinary happening behind the scenes. You see, although most people paid little attention to the 2006 pennies as they were released, a few small details about this coin would soon become apparent. It wasn't until later that collectors began to notice that some 2006 pennies had a particular characteristic that set them apart from the rest. A small number of pennies from this year had an error on the reverse, the side that depicted the Lincoln Memorial, caused by a die misalignment. This was the beginning of a journey that would turn the 2006 penny into something much more than just pocket change. In the early days of minting, errors like this weren't uncommon. Minting errors can happen for a variety of reasons, such as a misalignment of the die or problems with the coin press. However, what makes some errors highly valuable is their rarity, and that's exactly what happened with the 2006 penny. The 2006 double die reverse penny, as it came to be known, was one of those rare mistakes that would go on to capture the imaginations of collectors everywhere. What exactly does double die reverse mean? Well, a double die error occurs when a coin's design is struck more than once during the minting process. Usually, this results in a doubled or shifted image, often seen in the lettering, the numbers, or other fine details of the design. For the 2006 penny, this misalignment resulted in a noticeable doubling of the letters and elements on the reverse side of the coin, particularly the words E pluribus unum and United States of America. As this error became more widely known, collectors began to search for the rare 2006 double die reverse pennies, and as the demand grew, so did the value of these coins. But why did these particular pennies catch the attention of collectors? The key lies in rarity and demand. With only a limited number of these error pennies existing, and the public becoming more aware of the mistake, the hunt for them intensified. This rarity, combined with the fact that error coins are always highly sought after by numismatists, set the stage for an impressive rise in the coin's value. But what made this penny truly stand out among other minting errors wasn't just the double die itself, it was the historical significance of the Lincoln Memorial design, the quality of the error, and the fact that this penny was from a time when major changes in American coinage were beginning to take place. The 2006 penny, in many ways, symbolized a bridge between the traditional designs of the past and the new designs that would come to define the penny in future years. The error itself became a symbol of how small mistakes in the minting process could create a lasting impact on the numismatic world. As collectors continued to seek out these 2006 double die reverse pennies, the excitement surrounding them only grew. In fact, over time, their value skyrocketed, with the most pristine specimens fetching impressive prices. The demand for error coins has always been high, and when such an error is tied to a coin with deep historical roots like the Lincoln Memorial, the result is something truly special. Now, let's take a look at the value of the 2006 double die reverse penny in today's market. Initially, the coin was considered a curiosity among collectors, with only a handful of people aware of its rarity. But as the years passed and the demand for error coins continued to rise, the value of these 2006 pennies began to increase substantially. In recent years, a well-preserved 2006 double die reverse penny has been known to fetch a staggering $112,000. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny, originally worth just 1 cent, could now be worth $112,000. For collectors, this is the stuff of dreams, finding a coin in their pocket change that turns out to be worth a fortune. The 2006 double die reverse penny is a prime example of how a small mistake in the minting process can result in a coin that is not only rare but also highly valuable. The excitement of discovering one of these coins is something that many collectors will never forget, and the fact that a penny could be worth more than $100,000 only adds to the allure of coin collecting. But what's the takeaway from this story? It's a reminder that sometimes, in the world of numismatics, the most ordinary objects can turn into extraordinary treasures. The 2006 double die reverse penny may have seemed like just another coin in circulation at the time of its minting, but thanks to a small error, it became a sought-after piece of history. And that's what makes coin collecting so fascinating, the idea that a single, seemingly insignificant coin can hold immense value. So, the next time you find a 2006 penny in your pocket or change jar, remember, it could be more than just a penny. It might be worth far more than you ever expected. You never know when the next rare treasure is hiding right under your nose. In 2015, the U.S. Mint created a coin that seemed like any other penny circulating across the United States, just another small copper-plated piece of currency that would, for most people, be ignored or tossed aside. But what if I told you that this very penny, one that might be sitting in your pocket or change jar right now, could be worth a staggering $102,000? This story is about a 2015 1-cent penny that might just change how you view your spare change. But before we get to the amazing part of this story, let's first take a step back and look at the history of the penny itself. The 1-cent coin has a long and fascinating history, dating back to its first minting in 1793. Over the years, the penny has undergone many design changes, but the most iconic image associated with it is that of Abraham Lincoln, who has graced the obverse of the penny since 1909. This iconic design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, was the first time a real person appeared on a U.S. coin, and it became one of the most recognizable and beloved images in American coinage history. For much of the 20th century, the penny continued to feature the portrait of Lincoln on the front, while the reverse side displayed the Lincoln Memorial. The memorial design, which was introduced in 1959, would remain in place for over 5 decades until 2009, when the U.S. Mint decided to issue a new series of reverse designs in honor of Lincoln's 200th birthday. These new designs, released over the course of several years, would mark a turning point in the penny's design and minting history. But before all of this happened, the 2015 penny was just another routine coin produced by the U.S. Mint, right? Well, not exactly. In fact, the 2015 penny would become famous for a very specific reason: a rare error that would eventually make it a sought-after treasure for collectors. Now, we all know that errors can sometimes happen during the minting process, and they're usually dismissed as mistakes, often going unnoticed in the midst of millions of coins being produced. Yet, when a minting error results in something unique or rare, collectors take notice, and that's exactly what happened with the 2015 penny. The error that we're talking about is known as the 2015 D/S penny. It was discovered when collectors started to notice that some pennies minted at the Denver Mint in 2015 carried a telltale mark on the reverse side of the coin, indicating that the coin had been struck with an S mint mark, even though it was supposed to have a D mint mark. In other words, these coins were struck using a die from the San Francisco Mint, which had accidentally been used in place of the Denver Mint die. The result? A penny that was stamped with a D/S mint mark, a combination that wasn't supposed to exist. This mistake, this coin with 2 mint marks, would become the treasure that collectors would obsess over. Now, let's talk about why this error is so important. Mint marks are symbols used by the U.S. Mint to identify which mint produced the coin. Normally, pennies minted in Denver carry the D mint mark, while those minted in San Francisco carry the S mint mark. When a coin has both a D and S mint mark, especially on a coin that should have only one mint mark, it's not just an interesting anomaly, it's a mistake, and in the world of numismatics, it's a rare and highly desirable one. This D/S error was incredibly rare, and as you can imagine, when collectors learned about it, the demand for these coins skyrocketed. At first, the D/S pennies were only discovered by a small group of eagle-eyed collectors. They were hard to spot, as the error was subtle and required a trained eye to notice. The S mint mark is slightly overlaid on top of the D mint mark, making it appear as though the S is sitting directly on top of the D. The error isn't immediately obvious to the casual observer, but for serious coin collectors, it was a clear sign that this was no ordinary penny. As word spread through the coin collecting community, the value of these 2015 D/S pennies began to rise. The rarity of the minting error, combined with the fact that it was a recent coin, minted just a few years ago, made it especially intriguing for those who were looking to add something unique to their collection. Collectors knew that finding a 2015 penny with this D/S mint mark would be like stumbling upon a hidden treasure. Now, you might be wondering, how rare is this coin? Well, as with many minting errors, the rarity of the 2015 D/S penny is what makes it so special. It's estimated that fewer than 100 of these error coins exist. That's right, less than 100. This makes them incredibly rare and, therefore, extremely valuable. Even though the penny might look like just another coin to the average person, to a numismatist, it's a piece of history, and its value reflects that. But why did this particular error garner so much attention? The answer lies in the combination of rarity, timing, and the historical significance of the penny itself. The penny has long been a symbol of American currency, and when something as rare as the 2015 D/S penny appears, it captures the imagination of collectors who see it as an opportunity to own a unique piece of American numismatic history. Additionally, because this error coin was minted relatively recently, it has a certain appeal to collectors who specialize in modern coins and errors. So, how much is a 2015 D/S penny worth? Well, as of recent sales and auction results, these error coins have been fetching significant amounts, with high-graded examples reaching incredible prices. While the value of a typical penny is, of course, just 1 cent, the 2015 D/S penny is a rare exception. A well-preserved 2015 D/S penny can now be worth as much as $102,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $102,000 for a single penny. That's a remarkable sum for what might appear to be an ordinary coin, but in the world of coin collecting, a coin like the 2015 D/S penny is considered a treasure. Its rarity, combined with the excitement surrounding its discovery and the potential for future value, has made it a highly coveted item among numismatists. In fact, the 2015 D/S penny is often described as one of the most significant errors in modern U.S. coinage. Not only is it a rare mistake, but it's also a testament to the complexities of the minting process. It's a coin that highlights how even the smallest error in production can lead to something extraordinary and valuable. So, what's the takeaway from this story? It's a reminder that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. What might seem like an insignificant penny could, in reality, be worth far more than you ever expected. If you happen to come across a 2015 penny in your pocket change, don't just dismiss it, take a closer look. It could very well be one of the rare D/S error coins that are worth a small fortune. Coin collecting is about more than just owning currency, it's about preserving history and uncovering hidden treasures. And for collectors, the 2015 D/S penny is one of those rare finds that will go down in history as one of the most extraordinary mistakes ever made at the U.S. Mint.